Sorry to interrupt, guys, but I can't hear anything. I don't know if it's on my end or your end. I can see you moving your hand. Oh, I can hear you now.
There it is. All right.
You didn't miss much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Seed and starter swap last 2 weeks ago was excellent. We're having another one this coming Saturday. And thank you very much for your coverage in the paper.
Yeah, it was fantastic, Chris.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, any more public comment? No. Appointments, 6:05 PM, project update from the town clerk regarding a unified zip code.
That's me.
That's you.
So as you know, the last town meeting, it was voted to change Whately to 01093. I did not, really do too much with it last year because I had such a heavy election year. And I had that on my plate, but now that that's over, I started diving back into this. I have had meetings with the local postal service I've met with the postmasters of Hatfield, Deerfield, and Whately. And I also had, Jessica and I had a larger meeting with the United States Postal Service out of Washington DC. There was about 25 people on that call.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty big and there was a lot of information, but what I got out of it was on their end, they are good to go. They already knew what was happening because this was something that was kind of started and stopped a couple of times previously, so they were already kind of in the loop. It was just getting me, who's in the seat now, into the loop because I was not part of the previous meetings. So Jessica and I met with them. They're on board. They said, pick a date and we can go live. They're like, we can do it in 2 weeks. And I was like, pump the brakes. There's stuff I want to do before we dive into that. I think you guys got a copy of the action plan.
Yep.
So this is an outline of the steps and things that I want to do to make sure that residents and businesses and the town as a whole, to be prepared for it. I know it might be a little overboard, but I just want to make sure that everybody's 100% before it goes live. The Postal Service did say that they would give us a 12-month grace period of mail forwarding. So residents and the town offices will have up to 12 months to get everything switched over. As you probably are already aware, it's going to be work for residents. Changing addresses these days a little easier than, back in, I can remember we did it. When did we change over the 911 system? I can't remember. It was like in the 80s or 90s, something like that. And like everything came by mail and you did everything by mail. So that was a little more involved. Now with, online banking and a lot of people doing stuff online, it might be more of a seamless changeover. However, we will be working with the post office to make sure that residents who aren't sure how to do it or may need help can get that help. The South County Senior Center has offered to help. I want to have sessions to have residents come, and if they need help doing things online or helping or getting organized, things like that, we will be here to help them do that. So I really, really, really want to be as supportive to our residents and staff as possible during this change. They were like, you need to give us a date. So I'm like, end of August. But I said, that's not set in stone. I spoke with Pete and he's like, well, can we do it in September? Like, we can do it any way we want. I had this meeting like maybe 2 months ago, when we discussed the dates, and to be honest, the more I think about it, especially with everything that I want to get in place before it actually starts to change over. I want to see if the, USPS in Washington would want to wait and go live like January 1st. Instead of August or September, because that's gonna come off like that.
Fast, yeah.
And I wanna make sure that all of our ducks in a row, and everybody's good before we start that.
Yeah, there'll be 2 scoop issues between now and then.
Yeah. and I'm
I
gonna,
also
like,
think not having to change before Christmas.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be after the holidays, it'll be a new year, and we can start with the new zip code, the postmasters, especially the Hatfield Whately one. He's pushing back on this a little bit. And I, to him, like, getting this changed over is. I don't know that he understands exactly how, I don't wanna say he doesn't understand how it works, cause I can't speak to his knowledge. But he's pushing back a little bit because he doesn't think it can be done, but after the meeting we had with the people in Washington, they have it all figured out. We'll keep our same mail carriers. So that is what's going on with that, and actually, the people in Washington were asking if there was any building space or anything in our area to put in a sorting center instead of having it so that it comes out of, oh shoot, they come out of 2 different places right now, and they're really far away.
Springfield, right?
One of Bruceberry.
Shrewsbury,
That's the S I was trying to think of, Shrewsbury. So they're actually looking for locations around here
No,
to put a sorting.
Do they want to buy the campground?
yeah,
I was like, we have an industrial park. I don't know how much space is available there. I don't know. But they wanted me to kind of
and
put
that,
a feel out and see if there's anything around
How much
because
space does it need?
Yeah,
they did not tell me any of that
and then how much
information.
traffic and all that
Yeah.
good stuff.
Can they
yeah.
use the center school?
I feel like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like a sorting facility just perfectly.
I'm guessing our warehouse space is probably not big enough.
Probably not big enough, but I don't know like who's in the loop with any of the stuff, like with what New Pro's doing or anything like that. I know they built a new facility, so I don't know what they're gonna do with their old facility. But keep that in mind, if you hear or see anything,
Mhm.
let me know. And they're really trying to find a space around here. And then if we did that, the mail would come out of here. Instead of so far away. Hartford, Shrewsbury. Doesn't even come out,
joke,
so
but it's-
Fred, it doesn't even come out of Springfield anymore, it's Hartford, Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This looks like a great framework.
Thank you.
Yeah,
One question, you
Yes.
change address notifications. Will the town coordinate with the utilities to change utility bills?
Yes, so part of that is I have to contact all the utilities, basic gas, if Eversource.
So the individuals don't have to contact all the utilities, but actually.
They'll have to change if they get their bill in the mail, they're going to have to fill out that little change of address thing on the back or whatever that they can get. But I have to give all of these utility companies a heads up that this is happening, so that at their end, they'll have 121 River Road Whately now, instead of 121 River Road South Fairfield. So they need to change everything on their end.
And did you keep in touch with Williamsburg as well for the West Whately?
Yes, I'm sorry, they were part of the
Okay.
process as well. I apologize.
Yeah, you hadn't mentioned.
Yeah,
Great.
so if the select board members have any thoughts or ideas or anything like that, or want to volunteer to help me help people, because I'm doing it, I'm not putting this on the payroll, I'm not putting this as an expense to the town. As far as like me taking a couple of hours in the town hall with a couple of computers or whatever, to a couple of laptops, to have people come in if they want, and if they need help and don't know how to navigate it.
Yeah,
That's
they
great.
can sign me up.
Thank you.
If there are any unexpected expenses.
Yeah,
let
you
us
come
know.
to us.
Yeah, come to us.
Okay, yeah, definitely. But that's it, any,
Right?
No, I was really happy
Yeah.
to see this
thank you.
already,
Yeah.
thought out. There's a couple things I didn't realize you were gonna have to tell the electric company, for example. That,
I put
I-
a
it
lot
can't-
of work on my
right,
plate.
yeah, and so I can't just tell them, oh, yeah, we changed it. They need some other.
Yes, so
Yeah.
so I have not spoken to a utility company yet. And
Yeah.
going back to what you asked, Fred, I'm hoping that by reaching out and telling them and working with them, people won't have to do it and it would be done automatically. Like, in the perfect scenario, that would be amazing. But I don't wanna speak out of turn because like I said, I have not contacted any utility companies yet.
Okay.
And I like the January 1st idea too.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, like the more I think about it,
Much
like,
more
I'm not doing
sensible.
this in September.
Yeah.
I'm getting this all done in
Doesn't
September.
make you
Let's be real.
hyperventilating.
No, I didn't, beyond your workload, I think that having people change delivery addresses before Christmas when everything is,
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's too much.
makes no
Yeah,
sense.
the timing just doesn't,
Right, and they've got a grace period, but that grace period will go fast too.
it will go fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm going to do a lot of outreach.
Yeah.
Flyers to everybody and mobiles and.
Yeah.
Websites, social media, scoop, blah, blah, blah. I put it, maybe it can go into the Greenfield recorder. Christopher.
Oh, it will.
Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome, thank
That's
you.
good. All right, next item, new business, electric aggregation to discuss and select a designee to execute the next electric aggregation agreement. Joyce, is
Yeah.
this something that you
I'm
have?
familiar with this, because I was on the,
knowledge of?
I was on the committee that, in the past had done the getting the aggregation started. And where we are at right now is we're coming to the end in December of, the rate contract that we have. The first time we got a 3-year contract, second time is a 2-year contract, that nobody was willing to guarantee a price for 3 years. So we're, going out to bid, so to speak, and we got to bid with, I think it's 17 other towns that are in our aggregation. There's a energy consultant who actually does the collection of offers. And then they sent some indicative pricing to Pete, meaning this is what they're doing right now, you're gonna have to decide in a week or two. So the plan is at this point that, and this is what we did the last 2 times,
Mhm.
is we assigned the town administrator as the person who would do the signing, because it has to get
Okay.
done within 2 hours of when the price is offered, you have to make your decision. And the decision is really, which of these things is going to be the default, which of these things are gonna be the options that you're allowed to
Mhm.
opt into, which are usually the higher price but greener or different quality. We've been able to get, I mean, it's always been the priority to get something that is greener and cheaper than whatever source is offering.
Yep.
We've always been able to do that as the default. But there are people in the community who want to, or willing to pay more for something that, for example, this time around, you had the choice of selecting energy that would also promote solar within Massachusetts. So that, and those are usually a little bit more expensive than Eversource, but they're still not all that much more expensive than Eversource. So I think if the process goes as it has in the past, we tonight would assign Pete responsibility of signing that document. He has already got a meeting scheduled for June 11th for the energy. Well, it's almost like the energy committee, but it's me, it's Nat and Paul Newland, who were originally doing the aggregation. We'll look at the indicative pricing, talk about how we choose those options. And then, when the prices come out on the day of, last time around, they weren't very different,
Mhm.
because it doesn't change that quickly. The consultants have been great. They've always found us the kinds of things we want.
Okay,
So I would anticipate this would go smoothly. So for tonight, I think what we mostly need to do is designate Pete as the person who can execute on our behalf.
okay. One question before we do that, do we have any idea of the length of the contracts that might be offered?
Oh,
I believe it was for another 3 years, if I remember.
they're usually 2 or 3.
Yeah, I remember correctly from the last select board, I believe it was 3 years.
Yeah, I think,
Well, no, it was
Last
3 years
time they-
once and 2
We
years.
Last
did,
time
we
it
only
was
did 2
2.
years.
Right,
Yeah, that it was a shorter period for the last. one.
so 2 or
right.
3,
So
yeah,
it's gonna
okay.
be 2 or 3 years
Okay.
in all likelihood. And I don't, from the indicative pricing list, if I had seen it, I might know. But I haven't seen it. It'll be 2 or 3 years.
Okay. Well, I move that we appoint Pete as the designee to sign for the new electric aggregation agreement.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Just a correction for the minutes, the meeting with the energy and discussing like. Oh, 11 is.
The decision day.
Oh, thank you for that.
Okay.
Second at 10 AM.
Thanks.
Yep, June 2nd, 10 AM is when we'll get together to have the. Get all the questions ironed out in advance. And then the 11th will be decision day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the correction. Next item, Housing Trust to review, discuss, and vote to ratify the use of CPA funds agreement between the Housing Trust and the town of Whately. Apparently it was approved back in 2016, but somehow we never signed it.
It was either never signed or signed and the town's copy has gone missing. So it had to be re-signed.
Yeah, okay, so, the recently reconstituted Housing Trust has taken this item back up. You're on that,
Yeah.
yeah? They, reviewed the agreement, made a minor update in collaboration with the Community Preservation Committee, and finalized the agreement on their side.
There was one clause in the original that had now been superseded by a new state law, so it had to be.
So that was.
Okay.
You said, what are you hiding behind that?
Are there any more details you need us to
No.
know about it?
Essentially, it's exactly what was signed in 2016 or not signed in 2016,
Or
but-
signed?
but
and-
approved and
Here.
is now,
Yeah.
we just don't have a record of it, so we
So,
a new record.
is there a
Yeah.
motion?
Well, I had just a couple questions.
Oh,
I think they'll be easy for Fred to answer. Looking, the first page, I didn't have any questions about, because there wasn't that much there. And I understand that basically most of the first clauses are saying, we're going to. I mean, these are some of the provisions of general law, 44B, all the various sections. And you need to comply with that. Okay, so my questions are more like, they, like, for example, they say rehabilitating existing community housing is not permitted, though preservation of such units is permitted, and I was wondering who gets to decide when there's an agreement on whether some project is considered rehabilitating or preserving, because I can see there would be some overlap. Do you happen to know?
I don't know.
Okay, but presumably there's some provision in the law that distinguishes those and someone can be. It also seems like in the next one, it says reuse existing buildings. Or construct new buildings on previously developed sites wherever possible. And it seems like number 5, where you're not allowed to rehabilitate. Puts a significant limitation. On 6, usually the more environmentally smart thing to do is to rehabilitate
mhm.
something and this. So I have those concerns about it, but. My concerns, well, me and one army is gonna secede from Massachusetts and you've gotta obey the state law, right? So it seems like those are not to me great
I think
clauses,
it probably
but
comes down to the definition for the purposes of the word rehabilitate.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
okay, which I was not able to go look up.
Right.
On number 9, where it talks about, it's talking about purchasing, using CPA funds. Sorry, real property interest purchasing using CPA funds. Or housing created using CPA funds. You've got to get a permanent affordable housing restriction on the deed. And I was wondering if that last sentence where it says must be approved and accepted by the town. Does that mean a town meeting vote, or does that mean the select board?
I would say since it is not. Would not involve a disbursement specific to disbursement of funds, that it would be a select board vote.
Okay, because it says accepted by the town, I assumed the opposite. I assumed it was
The town meeting really only has to approve spending.
oh, I think the town meeting has to vote, has to approve other things besides that, but it's a
Well-
deed restriction is what the thing is about, but, so I guess, I'm not gonna not.
But
vote for that.
generally, the town meeting doesn't pass on specific agreements.
Oh,
It'll pass, pass
Okay.
bylaws and pass budgets and,
okay, but like if we
Things
were to
that-
change zoning or something, then we could-
right.
Yeah.
but-
okay.
But not a specific agreement to buy a specific piece of property.
all right.
And put a deed restriction.
Right, and, right.
Okay, and I also, I assume that the housing trust has sort of. I'll use the word support from the town in the sense that like the accountant and the treasurer, they don't write their own checks off the CPA funds, they've got to get the town to write the check.
Right.
So there's, those procedures are already in place.
The housing
for
trust,
oversight.
the housing trust is a body that really only comes into action when there is a project that needs to be funded.
Yeah.
The housing committee will try to generate programs and projects or whatever, but the housing trust will essentially have gavel in, gavel out meetings normally if there's no,
Yeah,
the reason it was created was to expedite getting funds.
Getting funds,
So the
right.
funds didn't have to go through town meeting to be approved, to
Yeah.
purchase a piece of real estate.
well, okay. Right, okay, so, all right, I think those are the kinds of questions I have, so I think I'm done with that.
Is there a motion at this point?
I'll let Fred.
I move that the board approve the agreement between the housing trust and the town of Whately regarding the use of CPA funds.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good,
Aye.
I want to sign right now.
You
Sure.
betcha.
I think, Tilly, I think you signed already at an earlier date.
Okay.
Accidentally, but
sit down, Lee.
no, it's just
Accident.
she's too good.
Oh, no, yeah, he had me sign a bunch of things.
Yeah, it must have just been,
And
yeah.
it was a mistake in that.
It was not a mistake.
It's just early,
An
that's all.
appropriate 2025 date on it. Okay, next item, personnel. First under personnel is the appointment of election workers. From the town clerk, we requesting the following appointments for election workers for the year 2025. Jessica Murphy, Doug Coates, Betty Orlowski, Julia Berman, Beth Lucan, Ed Berman, Allison Bardwell, Monty Archibald, Mary Ann Sadowski, and Jamie Sullivan. That's it.
I move we elect that slate of election workers, or appoint that slate of election.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Yeah. Appointment of highway and buildings superintendent is the next item. Letter from Pete. By the approval of the select board, we began advertising the expected vacancy on March 13th. We received 9 applications for the role. The recommendation for the appointment of the new highway and buildings superintendent is Garrett Barry. We expect Garrett to be able to begin June 23rd, which will give him the opportunity to work alongside Keith for 2 weeks. We would offer Garrett Keith's current salary with the expectation of having Garrett enter the new classification and compensation plan at step 5 based on his years of prior municipal work in the role And this has already been budgeted for the proposed fiscal year 2026 operating budget.
That seems appropriate to me, given the, years of service in
Yep.
Hatfield in the same.
Yes, I would agree.
Well, to the extent that those are comparable. So,
And then there's a question of vacation leave eligibility. Garrett has family vacation already scheduled from July 28th to August 1st. The policy states that the use of paid vacation time during the probationary period, which is the first 3 months, is not permitted. Given that this was scheduled prior to the appointment, would the select board allow Garrett to utilize vacation time during the probationary period for this one instance? Or he could use a mix of comp time, personal paid time, or go unpaid. He has been the highway superintendent in another town for 8.5 years. So that would-
I'm fine with letting him use paid vacation.
yeah, I'm fine with making the exception to the rule. This is kind of one of the situations where I think that's the right thing to do.
I would agree. Okay, I think those are the only things that we need to discuss. Harry, you want to say hi?
Oh,
Introduce yourself, anything?
sure.
Yeah, it's nice to have you here and congratulations. I move that the board appoint Garrett Barry as our new highway and building superintendent with an annual salary of $82,112 and an expected start date of June 23rd, as well as grant him years of creditable service to be applied toward his vacation leave so that he can use vacation time for paid vacation. For Garrett's pre-planned vacation from July 28th to August 1st, the select board directs him to utilize paid vacation time during his probationary period just for this single instance.
Second.
All right, 2 seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Garrett, if I can suggest that you talk to Neil Abram, who I know, who I talked to over the weekend. He's gonna be away the first week of July, and the building superintendent is the backup person for opening town hall. So you'll be touching base with Neil regularly on use of town hall. Because I just want to make it, because Neil will be away first week of July. Okay.
May I just, there is a blank where it says, as well as grant him blank years of credible services, are you filling that in with him? Her or?
We can say full years or
Do
8.5
we need,
years.
whatever number of years gets in on the step 5, was that the rate?
Yeah, I'm just curious, why there was a blank there, and I just wanted to be sure with the
Oh.
minutes. For the motion, just wanna make sure.
Yeah, and however many years get him
Well,
Yeah, okay.
to step 5.
step
on
5,
the table.
Yeah. Thank you.
but I would,
Not having the table in front of us.
No,
yeah,
that's okay, I just wasn't sure, I wanted
right,
to make sure.
it
that-
would be a number less than, not bigger than 8.
But less than, yes.
And I don't think we need fractional years, so let's leave it at that.
I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Garrett, welcome. You got some big shoes to fill, but it looks like you're fully
big feet.
prepared. You're fully prepared and confident and able to do that. So
And
we're
Garrett
happy to have you.
lives in the town.
And you live in Whately, even better.
Yeah, not that far from this guy.
Okay. Next, authorization for department head timesheet sign-offs. All staff timesheets require that the employee and their supervisors sign off on the timesheets. The select board should be signing off on a number of department head timesheets. I've been coming in for the past 3 or 4 weeks to do that. Once we figured that we should be doing that. The town accountant has asked that the select board ensure this is done going forward. The chair can do this, or the board can designate the town administrator to do it for all, except for the TA, who would still need to be, which would still need to be the chair. Yeah, for the town administrator.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense.
To have the
Because
town
like,
administrator.
to the other department, because he'd
Yeah.
be more in touch with what they're doing to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, And then we have the chair sign off
Sign off
on Pete's.
on Pete's, yeah, that makes sense to me too. Does that require a vote? No, it's, well, it's authorization, so let's
Yeah.
do a vote. Let's do a motion and a vote.
Okay, so I move that we authorize our town administrator to sign off on department head time sheets.
Second.
Okay, we'll do them separately.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you do the next motion.
And I move that we have the town administrator's timesheets authorized by the chair of the select board.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Next item, treasurer collector, the recently appointed treasurer collector, Jennifer Day. Similar to the creditable service element noted above for the new highway and building superintendent, the new treasurer collector has requested that her 10+ years as an assistant treasurer collector and treasurer collector be taken into consideration as it relates to vacation accruals. That would mean that we give her more vacation time here based on the amount of time that she's been in that kind of position.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
I don't either. We could put a number in that blank, I would say it would be 10.
As long as it's not a fraction.
10 and 3/7. All right, is there a motion?
I move that the board grant Jennifer Day 10 years of credit service to be applied towards her vacation leave eligibility.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. And last item under personnel, town accountant hiring process with the end of FERCog's accounting service program. We have been working to
This is-
establish.
It's like, seems like every single meeting we do something. When is it gonna end?
I know. We've been working to establish a part-time town accountant role. The description has been finalized and approved by the select board. The position has been incorporated into the classification and compensation plan, and a budget has been set for fiscal year 2026 to fund the position. He would like to post the opening. We would start with an in-house posting, and if there are applicants, we can review and interview. If there are no applicants within a week of posting in-house, he would post the position publicly. The start date will not be until July 1st. And the position will only be appointed by the select board once town meeting has voted on the fiscal year 2026 budget. Any
I think that
questions?
sounds like a reasonable process. It's
Yes.
what we normally do anyway.
I move that the board direct the town administrator to open the town accountant position with a start date no earlier than July 1st, 2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think the reason it's going on so long is that the FERCog agreement only ends at the end
That's
of
right.
the fiscal year.
Right.
We have to get everything in place before that.
Okay,
Select board liaison updates. I have no updates.
I have nothing.
You have nothing, Joyce.
I don't think I have any. We haven't, yeah, we're having a board meeting, June 6th. It's on my calendar, but we're having one in the, a Monday, first Monday in June. I
I
think.
do have one small thing.
Oh.
And that is that we've gotten resumes in for the community development position, and we'll be reviewing those and hopefully starting interviewing in.
Any items not anticipated? Timely posting. Next meetings, June, sorry.
Yeah, could I ask that at the next meeting, we get the, electric battery storage? I was expecting it to be on this agenda.
Oh, I think he
So-
didn't put it on the agenda because it was a tidy agenda since he's not
Is
here.
it, oh, okay, yeah, so we can get that on the next
Yeah,
agenda.
yeah.
That would be great.
Jessica, will you? No, that's excellent. Annual town meeting, June 3rd, Tuesday, 2025 at 6 p.m. And is it held indoors or outdoors this year?
I thought it said outdoors.
It's outdoors, weather permitting.
That's
So if you look at the weather
At the Whately Elementary
at the,
School.
yep, and it looks like the weather's gonna hold out, so no rain, but
Okay.
you have the option to go inside if needed.
So be there, June 3rd, 2025. And then the next select board meeting is Wednesday, June 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Do I have a motion to
Which is the
adjourn?
day after election day for town halls.
Ah, right, which is June 10th. Please vote in your town elections.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows, it could be. Who knows what could happen?
I know.
Move to adjourn.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.